Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity. Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity.
Hey there, it's Brie Bear and welcome to my September and October wrap-up. So I'm very proud of myself because it is only the 8th that I'm filming this, so that is definitely progress. So I've decided to include some stats in this round of my wrap-up, so let's go ahead and get into those. I read 15 books in total. 4 of those books were rereads and 11 of them were first-time reads. I read 11 YA books and 4 adult books. I read 1 poetry book, 1 cozy mystery, 1 thriller, 3 fantasies, and 9 contemporaries. I read 4 books digitally, 3 of which were audiobooks and 1 was an ebook. I read 11 books physically, 1 of which was a graphic novel, 1 of which was told in verse, and 9 of which were told in prose. All of the books that I read digitally were told in prose. Now let's talk about my stats for my ratings. I read 1 1-star book, 2 2-star books, 1 3-star book, 3 4-star books, and 8 5-star books. Now that we've gone through the stats, let's get into the things that I read. The first book that I read in September and October was Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welsh. Came out in 2017, a YA contemporary, and it is a reread. Here is a quick synopsis. The main character, Lena, has moved to Italy to meet and get to know her father after her mother passes away from cancer. When she gets there, she receives a journal that was her mother's while her mother was living in Italy, and in the front cover, her mother has written, "I made the wrong choice." Lena spends the summer trying to discover the meaning behind her mother's words and explore the cities and beautiful countrysides in Italy. A few of my less positive thoughts, there were these tourists that were from like the south here in the US, and they were made out to be really annoying and acted like not at all like people here in the south act. So therapy was represented incorrectly in this book in my opinion, and poorly. There was a time where OCD was referenced in regards to a cat, and it was like a casual like oh, that cat's OCD. There also is like some gray area sort of cheating. I don't know how to describe it. It's like the vibe of gray area cheating basically throughout the book. The pluses are there are a lot of funny moments and funny lines. Really loved the aspect of having a journal in it. Loved seeing Italy and experiencing that. This is a really good book to read if you're going on a trip for that reason. The first time I read this, I was on vacation and it was a lot of fun to read while I was on a trip. It does also have multi-plot focuses, not just focused on the romance. We got a lot of relationship development and character development. It's not just one character and one relationship, it was like multiple. So that was really cool. Overall, I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed was The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. This I have as a bind up, so I'm just going to hold up the whole bind up. But this came out in 2009. It is a YA contemporary that is more on the romance, contemporary romance side of things. It is book 1 in a series of the same name. And originally I was going to do a video series for the first time reading series. I got so behind on everything that I just never got around to filming the sit down sections and editing that. But if you would like to see my overall vlogging experience, I can still edit that together and put it up. Just let me know in the comments. So, synopsis. This series follows Belly, who is in love with Summer and also the boys that she sees every summer. But she can't have both of these brothers. Someday she'll have to choose between Conrad and Jeremiah. But how? Here are my thoughts on book 1 of the series. There's definitely some cringy and problematic writing throughout the book. Underage drinking, there is drug abuse, parents and their reaction to it and their involvement in it. My other main complaint is that nothing really happened for the majority of the book. Here are a couple of my pluses. There are some really pretty quotes and cute moments between different characters, and the ending did make me want to continue to read the next book. Originally, I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars, but I ended up actually dropping my rating by the end of the series to a 2 for that first book. The next book that I read was It's Not Summer Without You, also by Jenny Han. It was published in 2011. It's a YA contemporary romance as well, and it's book 2 in The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. It was much more triggering in my opinion, much more problematic. The characters did some really stupid things and made stupid choices. One thing I did think was done in this middle book though was the representation of grief and the way that different people deal with it differently and deal with hard situations in life differently, so I will give it that. All in all, I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars as well. The next book I completed was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. This was published in 2017. It is a YA fantasy and it's the 6th book in the Throne of Glass series. This is a reread for me and I listened to it via audiobook. Because I have discussed this in previous wrap-ups this year, I'm just going to link the synopsis below to the first book in the series, so I'm not giving you the synopsis of a later book. My thoughts are pretty much the same as most of my other Sarah J. Maas books when it comes to my negative thoughts, that there are a lot of cliches and things that she has done that are definitely a YA cliche and ones that are more specific to her writing style that I'm just not a fan of. However, this one I do feel like really brings out some character development in specific characters that it follows. We get to experience not just the growth of that character, but also we get to understand that character's perspective a little bit more and see that character's side of things a little bit better. All in all, I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. The 5th book I completed was We'll Always Have Summer, also by Jenny Han. This was published in 2012 and it's the 3rd book in the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. This one really ruined the trilogy for me. I skipped all of the cute stuff and only went to the drama. The stupid choices made in this addition to the trilogy are the literal worst ones that are made. The love triangle was horrible. There was nothing really resolved. In a love triangle, there should either be a resolution as to why she thought she was in love with 2 guys and she wasn't, a realization that she's not really in love with 2 guys and she shouldn't be with either of them if she can't choose between the 2 of them. Basically, there should be some sort of resolution to it. If you're going to do a love triangle like this, unlike how Cassandra Clare did hers in the Infernal Devices, that was a really well done one, but there is still a resolution to it. My overall rating for the final book in this trilogy was a 1 out of 5 stars. I originally gave it a 2. I dropped it to a 1 as I was making out this list because I just couldn't do it. The next book that I completed was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sainz. This was a 2019 release. It is a YA contemporary that I read during Contemporary-a-thon, which I participated in. I did vlog the experience, but have yet to edit and upload that as well. Yay me! This was an audiobook and I do recall this has LGBTQ representation if you are interested in that. Here's a quick synopsis. Ari is a loner and Dante is a know-it-all. Both see the world in very different and unique ways. They met at a pool and became instant friends. They explore life together and discover not just the secrets of the universe, but the secrets hidden deep within themselves. The first thought that I have is not necessarily a negative or a positive, but one that can kind of be in the middle, and that is that the writing style just isn't going to be for everyone. It's definitely artsy in some elements and awkward in some elements, so for some people it's just not going to be for you. So just kind of understand that going into it. Now, negatively, I think that there is some kind of silly boy talk, but it could just be me. Otherwise, I thought it was super cute and I pretty much enjoyed it entirely for the rest of it. So I kind of gloss over that a little bit and gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was No One Here Is Lonely by Sarah Everett. This was a 2019 release, YA contemporary. It was also read during the Contemporary-a-thon and it includes racial diversity. This follows our main character Eden, who just graduated but someone was missing from the crowd. Will. He passed away in a car accident a few months prior to them graduating. Eden is drafted to return Will's jacket to his mom. She assumes that Eden was dating Will. Under this assumption, Will's mom gives Eden a phone number. Among other things in Eden's life, her and her best friend Lacey become very distant as Lacey has totally bailed on her with their summer plans. Feeling alone, Eden calls the phone number. And Will answers. The main thing I want to point out is this could definitely be triggering for some people as there is underage drinking, cheating, and lots of secrets. Of course, loss involved as well. Honestly, I cannot think of any negatives from this book. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed was A Map for Wrecked Girls by Jessica Taylor. This is a 2017 release. It is a YA contemporary with a survival kind of storyline. and it also was read during Contemporary-a-thon, and it is a reread for me. Here's a quick synopsis. Emma and Henry are sisters and have had a falling out. While they're on vacation, they decided to go on a boat ride. An explosion on the boat causes the girls and one of their guides to end up stranded on an island. While they're forced to fight for survival, they're also forced to survive each other. While I disagree with some of the choices the characters make in this book, although that is a necessary kind of thing to experience in books and doesn't reflect the moral code of humanity or of the author, I also felt like some things were not necessarily completely resolved in the end or addressed at the end of the book in regards to some of those choices. However, this represents sisterhood so well, and it's such a really interesting story with it being a survivalist situation. I really want more books like this. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed was The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, a 2018 adult contemporary romance. This I also read during the Contemporary-a-thon, and I read this via audiobook as well. Here's a quick synopsis. Stella, our main character, has Asperger's. She's a workaholic and she's not very good with relationships. So her mom tells her to either bring a man to her next charity event or she will bring a man for her. This causes Stella to decide to seek professional help. So she calls an escort. Stella begins to realize that this is not all it's going to take for her to be able to get past her struggles that she's experienced and why her previous relationships have failed. So she asks her escort, Michael, to become instead her practice boyfriend. Michael, on the other hand, does not do attachments, so he never accepts repeat clients. But for some reason, he just can't say no to Stella. I mean, he just has to keep things professional, right? Before I get into my personal thoughts, I want to put out there that, in my opinion, this does have a good amount of sexual content, and that might not be something that everyone wants to experience, especially not via audiobooks. So I have been including representation before the synopsis, but I wanted to actually include it in my thoughts this time around for the simple reason that it includes so many different types of representation. For the fact that it includes so many different kinds of representation, including racial and disability. It was a super cute story. I really enjoyed how much Stella really loved her job and her work, and the fact that it really talked about their careers and their passions. It's not just about a physical relationship as well. Overall, I rated this 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed was Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, Maureen Johnson, and Robin Wasserman. This is an anthology, a collection of short stories in the Shadowhunter Chronicle world. So it was published between 2015 and 2016, and it is a YA urban fantasy. Again, it's part of the Shadowhunter Chronicles, and for me it is a reread. The synopsis to the first book of the Shadowhunter Chronicles that was published will be linked down below. I'm going to keep my thoughts short on this. One thing that I do find slightly annoying about this series is, although I understand the importance of it, sometimes the stupidity of some of the politics, it just gets on my absolute nerves every once in a while. This one contains so many feels, and you really see this character, the main character, really come into his own after experiencing such a traumatic thing that he experienced, and like having his whole world rocked when he found out that everything that he had ever known was a lie and that the truth is being kept from him, and like his own truth and who he is and everything about himself is like all mixed up and everything. Like 5 out of 5 stars from me. Next up, I completed The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. 2019 adult thriller, kind of a mystery thriller. Just to put it out there, she's from England and moved to Scotland. So just to kind of give you a bit of a heads up, so some of the language is going to be on slang of England and of Scotland that is going to be included in this, which I found actually really cool and interesting to read. This follows Rowan, who is just on the internet one day and comes across an advert or advertisement for a live-in nanny position with an amazing salary at this smart house, and it seems like a dream come true. And since she's been unhappy with her current job, she decides to apply for it. But what she doesn't know is the nightmare that she is stepping into. There are so many secrets, and strange thing after strange thing begins to occur. This book is so spooky! Oh my gosh! The entire time I literally thought something completely different. than what actually ended up happening. And oh, my soul, my soul. Oh! Some of the twists in this book were so good. I definitely knew things were off, but I didn't guess what it was going to actually be. Like, it's like you knew that something was wrong there, but you didn't necessarily know, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed was Wild Embers by Nikita Gill, a 27 poetry collection. The themes of this collection include passion, identity, empowerment, and femininity. My thoughts were that yes, there were a few parts that got a little bit on the political side, but honestly, it was absolutely beautiful. I loved it. I am not a fan of the political side of modern poetry, but this stayed more on that beautiful, heart-touching side of poetry, and I absolutely loved it for that reason, and so I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed was Broommates by Morgana Best, a 2018 release. It is the first book in the Sea Witch Cozy Mysteries series. I'm not actually sure this was supposed to be YA or adult, or maybe new adult. I'm leaning towards the adult for the fact that the main character is an adult, but it wasn't like super adulty in the content, if that makes sense. It is a short story and it is a fantasy leaning cozy mystery. So here's a synopsis. Goldie finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her, who happens to be her boss, and also finds out that she has inherited a house and some money from an uncle all in the same day. To be able to keep the house, she actually has to move into it and stay there for a year. Oh, and also, by the way, casually, she's a witch. Not that anyone knows. Or so she thought. She spent her first night at her new house sleeping outside in a tent, waiting for the guy with the keys to show up. She found him in the morning when she tripped over his dead body. So that the main first negative is that I thought it was going to be more on the witchy side. And I say that thinking now that it has some like magical witchiness, but also that it's like supposed to have like this is a person that just like practices like Wicca. I'm very confused. I can't tell if it's supposed to be like Wiccan character or if it actually is supposed to be like fantastical. I'm very confused. However, I really did enjoy it. It was very cute and very fun, giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed was Wild Girls by Rory Power. This is a 2019 YA grimdark fantasy book. This includes diversity for LGBTQ. The synopsis is going to be a little bit hard to explain, but I'm going to try my best to keep it short. This follows an island girls boarding school that was quarantined because of something called the Tox, which is quite mysterious, and they don't know the cause. All they know is that it's killing the teachers and causing very strange things to happen to the girls, including them getting gills and having glowing hair and lots of other even more gruesome things. The girls and just 2 adults are left to fend for themselves with very few supplies coming in. The story starts off with Hetty getting a new task, which causes her to have to keep some secrets. But as she begins to discover some of the secrets of her new task, she begins to wonder if there are other and bigger secrets going on, and begins to wonder what's really going on this island. This really relied way too heavily on the shock factor of the plot twist and the shock factor of the gore. And I was extremely let down by the ending. There was no resolution at all. All in all, I was just extremely disappointed with this read. What I did like was I liked the world concept and the concept of the story, and I really liked the atmosphericness of it. All in all, I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. The 15th and final book that I read during the months of September and October was Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. This is a 2019 YA contemporary graphic novel that includes LGBTQ and racial diversity. This story follows seasonal best friends who spend their fall nights in a pumpkin patch that they've worked at all through high school. It's their last night to take it all in before they leave for college, so they spend the night chasing fall feelings and a certain fudge shop girl. all in all, my thoughts are that this was so cute and so atmospheric. I want more books like this. I absolutely adored it. I want more of this in every season, for all of the seasons to have like this fun, quick, atmospheric, get you in the mood for that season, get you in the fall, winter, spring, or summer mood. You know, like I want like a million books like this. It was just so refreshing to read. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. So that is everything that I read during September and October of 2019. I really enjoyed most of what I read. I read 8 5-star books. That's crazy. That said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed the additions and how I changed up my wrap up just a little bit. I think I like this, and this is what I'm going to stick with, but we shall see. Editing Brie will also help us decide this. So that's all I've got for you for this video, and make sure that you check back in soon, as I'm going to be doing some fun and different videos coming up, and try to get out of the funk of not having videos, and the only videos that I'm putting up is wrap-ups and vlogs. Hopefully I will be able to fix that soon. That is the hope and the plan. We'll see how it goes. Yay! Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out, Bear Scouts.